Hello ladies and gentlemen, Nick here and welcome to this Aimless Wanderings vlog. Today we are looking at the Quintessential Doctor's first story, The Dark at the Start. There's indeed the right title. This is also technically Quincy's post-regeneration story in a way. Well, technically you got the regeneration in there at the start, although you don't really see how it happened. Dynamite is regenerating into Quincy just before he is thrown into the engine, so something's already caused him to regenerate. So that is probably going to be a story for another time, if they make it. But the rest of the story, the plot is, I apologise for the sun, two illegal space junkers called Splag and Splog. Yeah. They discover the Dynamite Doctor's floating body, so they bring it in, find out that he doesn't have anything on it, so they can't steal anything, and then they throw his body into the engine just before it blows, well, before it blows up, basically. Not just before, they have about 14-15 minutes. And the regeneration energy fuels up the engine and also helps Dynamite regenerate into Quincy maybe a bit easier. Meanwhile, the Daleks are on the hunt for the Doctor for some reason. And soon they come across the space junker ship and they are captured. But the Doctor works out a way to... She tricks the Daleks to thinking she can make them stronger, but then she actually stronger in terms of a dominance for the universe, but she actually makes them a force for good in the universe. We also get a reappearance of Davros, back to his old villainous ways again after a short time of being an ally in War of the Doctors. And we'll begin in the pompous redemption. I'm sorry, the sun's in my eyes. Anyway, so after that, the Doctor drops Splag and Splog off at a galactic police station, where they are arrested by a Daniel Sherratt cameo, and then she goes off to sort out the Cybermen, which links into War of the Doctors Part 3, where they recognise her because she is now the cyber leader. She uses the ones from the corner of the universe to pretty much take over. I wonder if she went to Perfectio Gardos and asked some of the Cybermen from Nightmare in Matty Grey to help as well. Those ones didn't like sausages, but they did like ice cream and chicken pie and chicken casserole and other nice foods and flowers. So, you know, mostly these guys like sausages. She also sends some giant space pugs into their own universe, preventing them from causing harm on said Perfectio Gardos when she's talking to Humphrey towards the end. And then she pretty much ticks off a checklist of who she's sorted out. Eventually she realises that she isn't really needed in the universe anymore now she's done all this. Of course, she's also got to pretend to be a mysterious woman and sort out Pompous during War of the Doctors, and then she's going to reveal herself to everybody after that. Starting with Fruit Pastel, of course, as we saw at the end of that story, and the start of Sorry State of Affairs. And then in Man, I Feel Like a Time Lord, Man, I Feel Like a Time Lady, we're going to see her talk to Dynamite, and she's mentioned she's seen Pompous and Sorry. So, Dark at the Start. I think Livy Douglas does an amazing performance, and I think once they've revealed that she is the Doctor, one of the Doctors, the sixth incarnation, then she doesn't have to pretend anymore. She can just let it out. She is the Doctor. And I think Livy does an amazing job as the Doctor. Definitely, liked her as the mysterious woman, but once she actually is the Doctor without pretending, then I think that's when she's even better. It's a shame. I would like to have heard more of her. sadly, Quincy's only got 7 stories, and not 7 stories, 7 episodes, and 5 of them she's the mysterious woman in. She's not in War of the Doctors Part 2. So yeah, only 2 episodes she's the quintessential Doctor. The other 5 she's pretending to be a mysterious woman. And this is sadly the only Quincy story at the moment. There was supposed to be a 3-episode wave following Dynamite Wave 2, but whether that will happen anymore is uncertain. Same with a continuation of Wave 3 afterwards as well. That's a shame, but this story is certainly a brilliant introduction to her Doctor. Introduction to in chronological order, and definitely she's showing signs of being the best in terms of a character, the best incarnation, and doesn't mess around quite a lot. I mean, she pretends to a little bit, but she secretly knows what she's doing. She's a little bit like the 7th Doctor in a way then. So yeah, and also the other characters do great. Ben Rudman does the Daleks and Davros and the Cybermen because Benji Clifford wasn't available, but he does a very good job. His Davros definitely sounds a bit more like Terran Malloy's, I would say, but he's definitely very good, and his Daleks and Cybermen are very good, especially his Cyber Leader. Not so much on Dilbert the Dalek. I think Dilbert is a very Benji character. So Dilbert's is really the only weak spot. But with Ben's performance, but that's not a gripe against him. He does a good job. And yeah, Splag and Sprogs are done well, written and acted well. And it's actually quite funny that they get their comeuppance without having to be punished too harsh. Because what they're doing is wrong, but they're not villains. So they get arrested in the end for basically not for illegal activities, but they're not evil. So they're not punished too harshly, depending on who they get caught by. I mean, they did say that 10 years, depending on for illegal space dumping, depending on who they get caught by. So I'm not sure how long they're going down for with the Galactic Police. They didn't answer that. But still, 10 years in prison compared to being blown up. That's a bit. It's not as harsh, depending on who you ask. And Humphrey makes a welcome return, and I think that's pretty much everyone. Dynamite has a nice little cameo at the start. Yeah, that's pretty much everyone. Oh, and Joel voices the computer earlier on. So everyone's done a great job with this one. Like I said, the only weak spot is Ben Rudman's Dilbert voice. I think Dilbert is very much steeped in Benji Clifford. That's why I think Ben doesn't do as well of a job here. So overall, The Dark at the Start is a great starting point for the Quintessential Doctor. If you haven't heard any Quincy yet, then this is definitely the place to start. Well, if you haven't heard any Quincy yet, have you not? You better check out War of the Doctors. So overall, I'm going to give The Dark at the Start a 10 out of 10. It's actually a great story. Realising, I feel like I was going to go with a 9, but realising I don't really have any flaws. The only real thing is that most of the times with the Daleks, the Doctor and the Daleks, and we only see her sorting out one menace after dropping off Splag and Splog. So that it could have, but then again, it would have been a lot longer if it was more than just the Cybermen and a little cameo with Humphrey and the Space Pugs. By the way, there is a Space Pug sound effect in there shown for good measure. Sounds like a whale, the Space Pugs. I don't know if I mentioned that in the Pug Master Plan, but it sounds like a whale, almost. And yeah, that's about it from this great story. So That's a good old 10 out of 10. Thank you for watching. Next time we'll be starting the first of the Greatest of Friends wave, Marvin and me. I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye. Don't forget to click below to subscribe to the official Nicholas Payne Retro YouTube channel.